This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Art creation requires skill in most cases. A skill must be learned and practiced, and if you do not have it, you won't be able to enjoy the satisfaction that comes with it. Regardless of skill level, NightCafe Studio creates tools that enable anyone to create incredible, unique art and experience the satisfaction, the therapy, and the rush. Artists will not be rendered redundant by artificial intelligence, contrary to what many believe. This platform makes art creation accessible to everyone. With the explosion of machine learning in the art scene, NightCafe Creator brings these once exclusive technologies to all internet users. Valeria interviews Cassandra Hood. She is the social media and community building manager at NightCafe Studio, where she passionately advocates for the power of AI art and self-expression. As a prominent figure in the AI art community, Cassandra empowers fellow creators by sharing her experience in generative art. Her role involves actively engaging with artists and enthusiasts, cultivating a vibrant and inclusive community. With a deep understanding of social media dynamics, Cassandra leverages digital platforms to amplify the voices of AI artists and connect them with wider audiences. Through workshops, online exhibitions, and thought-provoking discussions, she promotes innovation and collaboration with the AI art sphere. Meet Cassandra at nightcafe.studio. Here's the interview with Cassandra Hood.
In your own words, who is Cassandra?
Basically, I always like to say human first because I'm not perfect. I always like to keep that my baseline, but I'm also on top of just a person, a mom, creative, and somebody who's just trying to, I guess, like maneuver myself through this weird experience, this weird mirror, I always like to say. I don't know, it's so cool.
Yes, wow, that's interesting. So this weird, in the way you say it, kind of mirror called life, would that be this human experience, right, Cassandra? Yeah, a lot of times that's what I found it to be as well. Very strange when it comes to ignorance, which I define as ignoring what is fundamentally true to us. Kind of, I don't know why. I know that everyone feels that way, that we have, there's something here that kind of tells us that love is the foundation of life, in a sense of connectivity, feeling connected with ourselves and others. But I wonder why we ignore that truth and we do things that are actually harmful to ourselves and others. Any ideas?
Yeah, actually, I had this one huge, profound realization, literally, of that love, I think, is the basis of all happiness. And we kind of confuse love with just a romantic type of love, but there are so many ways you can love somebody. And even when you get a romantic partner, like even my husband, I'll tell him, I love you like you're my brother, like you're my dad. Like, I love you. It sounds weird, but like it's so enveloping and it's so much deeper than I think people like to admit to themselves or even realize sometimes. Because I kind of feel like it's a truth we all know. Like,
I agree.
Love is what we're chasing. So
yeah. And how do you define love, Cassandra? If you could define love, how would you describe it?
I'd say any good feeling, anything that brings you joy, pure joy, I think is like, that's the purest form of love. Acceptance is love. Exploration is love. Like it's, yeah, anything that makes you happy to your core.
I love the way you said that, pure joy. So yeah, the core happiness. Would this be connected to a sense of doing something, or this is, you would say that love is actually something that's innate, that's always here. We don't need to be something, become something, or do something in order to feel loved.
It's definitely, from my experience, the latter. It's always something that's there. And that's something I'm even still working on now, is learning to refocus, because I feel like everything's perfect on its own. It's our thoughts that kind of mess things up. At least that I'm trying to get out of my own head, and like stop. That's my biggest thing, is judgment, and also boxes. I feel like the boxes that we put things into, good and bad, you shouldn't do this, you should do this, those boxes are what hurt us most, because we're not meant to be put in boxes. We're free flowing. And I feel like that's why so many people confuse labels with love. Like, you're rich, that doesn't mean you are happy. Yeah.
Wow, beautifully said. I mean, that's profound too. That sounds very spiritual to me. Do you have any spiritual philosophies or understandings of yourself in life?
Yeah, a few. I'm still working on getting things actually worded. A lot of the time it just comes like random jumble, and I have to kind of say it out loud in the non-linear way that it's coming out. But yeah, I have always been somebody who looks at the light, not only light and dark of things. I love to dive deep, and I love to get into even like places mentally where most people will think are scary. I think it's very interesting, and that's what it is to be human, is to figure that kind of stuff out.
That's true, especially when it comes to emotional pain or any kind of psychological mental constructs. And you're right, we have so many of them. We label everything. I love the idea that we can actually look at this of reality with, let's say, open mind or no mind per se, like not knowing what it is, as if we were looking for the first time. Like sometimes I do that as an experiment with my husband. I'm like, okay, I look at him. Who are you? Ask the question in my own head. Who is this person in front of me?
I love that.
Fascinating. And then one of my practices is to see everything as divine, as infinite, limitless, not necessarily unknown, but undescribable for sure, but not unknown. That kind of opens up, I guess, this realm of curiosity. And I love living in that world of being curious. So with that in mind, how do you define art? What is art to you?
I'm picturing more. I'm a very visual thinker. So when I think of art, I think of literally a little girl sitting there. Well, my daughter is what I'm picturing, pasting macaroni to a piece of paper or getting chalk and scribbling on the sidewalk. Art is just, I think it's just any human expressing themselves. And that could be, I always like to clarify, not negatively, because there are lots of ways you can express yourself negatively. But there's a very distinct, like just doing it from the heart and feeling that flow. I feel like that's also another thing that is very important to art, is kind of letting it come out from somewhere that you don't even realize. Like the higher self, that whole, like, that's where I feel a lot of my ideas. That's where they come from.
Yeah. So in that case, would be somewhat the unknown. I know I just said about not being necessarily the unknown, but it seems like art comes, creativity, right? A lot of times the inspiration comes from a place, invisible place. We cannot see it, but then we can translate those ideas into something. They become something. And it's true, self-expression is so important though. The obstacle to that is judgment. So we're afraid to be judged. And that is to me, it seems to me that's the biggest obstacle to creativity. Do you feel the same way, Cassandra?
Yes, that's funny you mentioned that. One thing, so I'm really big into AI art right now. I actually work for an AI art generative company. NightCafe Studio is the name of the company. But one reason I completely fell in love with AI art was the fact that I'm a perfectionist at nature, and I cannot help it. I'm really trying. But that's what holds me back the most. I love to paint, and I've painted. I love acrylics. That's probably my main form of actual, I'd say, traditional art. But the struggle for bringing an idea, bringing it from my mind to an actual physical, tangible thing is so hard, and I'm so hard on myself when like that whole process is going on. So with AI, I feel like it's so much more forgiving, and also it's like it's giving you something you didn't know you needed, if that makes sense. Like, wow, it just completely enhanced the idea that I had, and I didn't think it could come out this good. So with that said, yeah, I feel like using those concepts made from AI, it's made it a lot easier, and kind of helped me chill out with that like perfectionistic, and everything has to be perfect the first time around. Yeah.
And you mentioned off record, and that's, I said, I wish I was recording before. So how did you what was your first, let's say, motivation to engage with AI art?
A couple of years ago, I'd say it was August or September of 2021, I had just had my baby girl, my second little one, and she had just turned 1, but my postpartum depression was not letting off. And I felt the darkest cloud over my head. Like I could not find anything that was making me feel better. And I felt like I was really missing community. Like I had my husband, I had my family, but I don't know. There needed to be something more, I felt. So yeah, I was scrolling on TikTok one day, and I found this woman who was using, it was one of our first algorithms ever brought onto NightCafe, but it was VQ GAN clip. If anyone wants to search it up, it's VQ and then GAN plus the plus symbol and then clip. It's so abstract, and it's such it doesn't give you images. Like if you look up AI art now, it does not give you that. They're very, what's the word? They are easy to decipher on your own. So I saw this woman who was using AI as a divination tool. She'd ask it questions, and it would spit something out, and she'd read the creation from there, look out for certain symbols, colors, and whatnot. So that's kind of how I found NightCafe. I just looked up VQ GAN clip, NightCafe popped up, and I started testing it out. But shortly after testing it out a little bit, I realized that this is so cool, and there have to be people as excited as I am about this, but I can't find them. So then I went on a hunt. I started making friends on Instagram through hashtags, AI art hashtags, very niche ones at the time too. And I made my own Discord, and somehow, I swear it's divine timing. It was like in God's hands, I always like to say. The fact that this job was handed to me when I was doing something pretty much what I'm doing now, but for free, for myself, for my own healing, it was a gift. Like I really love what I'm doing now. I'm still doing, AI art, still making it, but now I'm in charge of helping community members facilitate those human interactions and kind of try to break down that barrier of the black screen, of the black mirror that we're interacting through. Just kind of give it a human element. So.
Right. How does it work exactly? What is the process, Cassandra, to become a member or to try it out for the first time?
Yeah. So if you Google NightCafe Studio, we're going to be one of the first options that pops up. So pretty much you can go to the site, and when you first sign up, it brings you to a very simple create form. So it's very it's not scary at first,
Yes.
because this kind of stuff can be very off-putting for people who are not technologically, so yeah, you get brought to something like an easier to digest screen. You type in your prompt, and the prompt, when I say that, I mean, those are the words that you're giving the AI generator to generate the idea you have in your head. So there's a lot of tips and tricks, but if you're going to make AI art, I do suggest really honing in on your language and learning more about yourself and what do you like. Like that's something that I really had to do. But yeah, you're able to make I think it's 5 creations before you sign up, just because we don't want people to lose their creations. That's something that we hear about, and it's always the worst when people lose their creations. Yeah, but it's pretty straightforward, and we also have the most helpful community, which I hold like a baby. Like it's
Yeah.
they're always there to help.
And that's crucial too, right? Community, being around other people, sharing ideas in our own, the way we see life ourselves. That's just precious, I find. So you mentioned language. That made me think about the emotion wheel. Not sure if you heard about that. It's used as like, oh, you have, right, Cassandra? So yeah, a lot of times we don't use the right language when comes to our own feelings. So that's a way of practicing that. Got to kind of, let's say, getting very close to, it's not easy, right? Because a lot of feelings I find myself, I have no words for them. And I look at the emotion wheel, I'm like, where is it? I can't really relate to any of these words. So sadness is one of that comes to mind immediately, but I know there's a lot of other kind of underlying feelings under sadness, tons of them. So I love that idea. I didn't know that would work that way. So
that's very interesting you say that. That's something I've like gone into detail about, not necessarily the emotional wheel, but kind of digging deeper, kind of to draw a parallel to the emotional emotion wheel. I'm sorry, maybe I'm mispronouncing that, but sadness is something like I always like to dig deeper. So if I'm feeling sad, what is that sadness from? Is it from hurt? Is it from anger? And why am I angry? Is it because I'm feeling not seen? And I feel like with AI art, you can really do the same thing. Like I always use the example, like I love a ray of sunshine. Like when a little ray of sunshine peeks into my living room, I'm like, wow, this is like divinity. This is beautiful. And I really wanted to take that into my AI art, but I don't just like, just to be more specific, I could even ask for warm morning sunlight, golden warm morning sunlight. And those things can get deeper and deeper. So instead of just saying, ray of sunshine shining into the living room, it can go so much deeper and so much more exact to what you want. Yeah. So that's why I always suggest like people kind of explore what they like and not just kind of surface level skim over, oh, I think I like this. I think I like this. It's like, no, really like sit and think about what makes you be at awe at life. Like those are the things that I think are the most inspirational.
Right. Wow. That's fascinating that artificial intelligence can do that, can kind of translate into visuals what we have in our minds. That is incredible. So it's able to go into even the most subtle kind of way of expressing ourselves. Let's say, in my case, I would definitely use spiritual, let's say, words like pure consciousness. I wonder how would the Night Cafe art would interpret that pure consciousness.
It's funny.
Yeah,
I've experimented with those kinds of things because like I said, spirituality is something that's just innate to me. I can't help but explore those things. So I've experimented with it and the results blow your mind. I've experimented with like floating in the astral realm, like things like that, like just very random prompts, but with those, I feel the less you give, the more it means, if that makes sense. Like it almost, like I was saying earlier, sometimes the AI gives me something that I didn't know I needed. And it just sparks something in my mind where I'm like, wow, like this is, I don't know, it's just either reignites my passion for something or whatever it is. It's very healing.
So another question I have for you here about the NightCafe Studio. What is the history? How did it start? Like who created?
Yeah, so my boss, Angus, he's based out of Australia. At the time, he was in Sydney. And the story goes that he was in his home office and my other boss, Ellie, so they're they're the power couple, I swear.
Yeah.
She walked in and said, wow, these walls are horrible. Like they're so bare. Let's make something. So he found at the time, this was before VQGAN, it's another algorithm before it. It's called style transfer. It's a very rudimentary, like it just takes one image and lays it over another, anyways, he made a few images like this and decided this would kind of be a cool website. So he coined the name NightCafe Studio, but it's not really, I'd say, too original. It's original, but it's based from a painting from Van Gogh, The Night Cafe. So that's where they got their inspiration. It's one of Angus's favorite artists, so he really felt it was right. But yeah, and since then, that was back in, I think it was September of 2019. It was a very much a hobby, and it turned into this full blown huge community, people who are so loving to not only the site but to each other. And now there's been over, I think it was 20 million generated images, and I bet you I'm underestimating. Even then, people really have been using the site, which is what we hope.
And this, would you say that this is the NightCafe Studio? It's also for everyone? Would you say any age, or just mostly for young people?
It's for anybody. Our age range is from 13 to 85. Like we've seen like It's hard. It's hard to decide who necessarily uses the site more because it's all over the place. So it really is for anyone.
Would you say that especially for people who are looking to express themselves with the intention to heal, or it's just being creative in general?
Oh, yes. I think that the creativity in general is what leads to the healing. So it's kind of like one leads to the other. The fact that people are able to creatively express themselves like never before, it's almost like they're exploring a whole new side to themselves that they never knew was there. That I think is what's so healing. And we see it all the time. One of our mods, he actually started a Discord that was it wasn't just for NightCafe, but AI art and mental health. And he really loved and fostered that community to bring out, the stories of how AI art has really helped people heal. Because if we're being honest, these past few years have been hard for everybody, like adult or not. It's been rough. And we all feel it. We all feel it. So this has been like a breath of fresh air for so many people. And I can't emphasize that enough, that it really is healing. And the fact that people are able to create now is, I think, what makes it so helpful and so healing.
I love what you said about creativity is one, it's the door to healing. Mm-hmm. It very much is, because that in order to create, we need to be open, curious. So that's what it takes to heal, I find. Every time, if I want to heal anything that I perceive as a problem, then all I have to do is to be open to that feeling, to that emotion, to that sensation, whatever it is, mm-hmm. and then connect with it. So that really makes sense to me. There's something else I wanted to mention. Yeah, so self-therapy. I read this in one of the articles, I think on your blog, I'm not sure, about the mental health benefits of mm-hmm. Artificial intelligence. And then it says here, a new survey results showing that a significant portion of NightCafe users primarily use the platform for self-therapy, demonstrating its potential as a valuable mental health tool. So it's obvious to me that if we are using technology for everything these days, which is really the case, mm-hmm. then why not to use it for healing, for spirituality, anything that can elevate our lives, make it happier and more peaceful. So mm-hmm. that really sounds like a natural evolution of life itself.
Yes, I always say it's crazy that we're living in this time. Like I used to always think the future was far off, but we're actually living in the future with being able to co-create with these machines. That's how a lot of people in the community see it. They don't say that they are the creators of this art. They co-created with this vast artificial intelligence, because these algorithms are, I always say, they're just mirrors. A lot of people say AI is just it's biased, it's this, it's that, but everything that AI is trained off of is what we've put out into the world. So, all of these negative things that I think people will focus on for AI are They're kind of things that already existed that we're just now able to see and is being reflected at us in such a clear way.
That's true. That makes me think about language itself. So we use language to communicate, and language is something that is already been created. So we just come here and as babies, and we just learned to communicate using language that was already here, created by other people. So in a sense, artificial intelligence allowing us to create art is the same way. So we use language to express ourselves. So that's what the computer machines are doing. It is a language, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. I feel just the next step in human evolution. That's the most human thing we can do, is kind of, learn to adapt and work with what we have, which is what people have done. This code, the first code created, which by the way was created by a woman, which was super impressive at the time. Now I'm sure a lot of people say, yeah, okay, that's great. A lot of things are, but anyways, when it was first created, it was kind of just like giving a child a stick and telling it to go play, with the stick. And the kid doesn't know yet that you can use the stick as a wand or draw in the sand with it. And that's kind of how humanity as a whole, I feel, was reacting to this algorithm. But now things have grown to it's its own ecosystem at this point. And with the language, like to go back to that, the way we have to communicate to the AI is not standard. It's not like just talking to a friend. You kind of have to talk to it like it literally is a robot. So yeah, I think that, us using language to create art with computers is one of the most human things.
Yes.
Lots will argue the opposite, but I think it was just where we were going to go next. It's just us being human and figuring out which dark cavern to venture into next.
So what is the main mission of NightCafe Studio? What's the goal per se?
To be able to bring art to anybody, art creation more specifically, anybody with an internet connection. We feel that it's been so gatekept for so long. And even now with AI art, if you look it up on Google, you're going to be hit with a lot of negative articles and just talk pieces that really push the bad about it. But there's that I feel is even contributing to the gatekeeping of the art world, because a lot of these people are not creating art to harm anyone. They're doing it to help themselves. And, there are some ethical issues and things that have to be talked out. But I think the healing, that's what we're really mainly after, and making sure that anybody can create. And you don't have to be an artist necessarily to make something that you're proud of.
So the website is nightcafe.studio, and I'll have that on the podcast profile page, of course. And then I have the ending notes, ending questions for you. I wanted to ask you before, actually, but I'll ask you now. But before that, before, there's anything that you left unsaid, though some questions that I forgot to ask, anything that you want to add?
This is more just, I guess, a personal thing, but if you feel like you can't create or that you're limited in creation, even if it's not AI art, go doodle, write in a journal,
Yes.
just, let it out, because we can only hold in so much. And, we're not just living in our heads, we're also living in this world. So that's probably another thing, is you can heal through just expression. So,
yes, yeah, it's so true. Thank you so much. That's beautiful. What can I say? So the ending questions. I'll ask you this one. How do you see this idea of success these days? What is to be successful to you?
That's a hard one, because I'm still trying to figure that out for myself. I think being happy and in the moment and being grateful and thankful for what you have, that's when I know I hit it. When I know that I have everything that I need, and I know that deeply, and I don't question it. That's when I know I'm really successful. And when I say everything I need, it's not even just monetary, physical things. It's really, relationships with my family, my husband, my daughters. That's where I feel the richness of life comes from.
Yes, I love the definition of success. Yes, more and more have been hearing this, of course, from my guests, and I would, I would love for that to be like by the millions. Not yet, but yeah, my guess, how many I have now? About over 1,000. So I hear that a lot from them, and sometimes I get the feeling that everybody thinks that way. But it's we are not there yet, right? I guess
Yes.
we are walking toward that understanding.
Definitely.
So another question, I'll ask this one as another final question. At this time, what do you feel is the world's greatest need?
I think cooperation and understanding. I think understanding mainly. That's where the cooperation would come from. There's so much misunderstanding, and maybe I think the biggest thing that the world needs is to stop judging. That, even just to go deeper into that emotional, like the wheel type of thing. Like, I feel like all of these things lead to judgment, and those boxes. We need to stop putting each other in boxes and saying that life has to be this or that, or one way or another, or you have to be happy, you can't be sad. If we could stop doing that, we'd be able to really flourish, like we should.
So true. Embracing life as a whole and not just parts of life, right? Wow. Yeah, I love that message. And I love also the fact that you're a mother. So you're passing that on early on. That really helps. Yeah.
Exactly.
That helps. Like Cassandra, I didn't have that education. So I was confused and lost for so long, not knowing exactly what love was, self-love, and none of this. So yeah, I love the fact that you have this awareness so you can pass that on early. So I have to ask you another question, another ending question, the last one. What 3 experiences you wish everyone to have before they die, before they lose the body?
Pure love. If you can experience pure love, that's going to be the most uplifting, I think, life-changing experience. I think that, and then also, being humbled. Now that I'm thinking about it, to experience being brought back down to earth and really being shown like where you are. I feel like that's something. Those are like earth-shattering realizations that I at least get from being humbled and really learning how to be grateful for what I have. And I think third experience is just, I don't know, maybe these are a little bit too vague, but I'm thinking peace. That's something I'm still trying to figure out for myself, learning how to escape from the hustle and bustle of every day, which is so hard. Being able to sit in yourself in those thoughts and just envelop yourself in them. That's divinity. That's God. I feel if I can sit there and journal and really let it all out, like I feel like that's really, it's really sacred time.
Yeah, it sounds very much. That's definitely a spiritual practice. I love your wisdom. Thank you so much for being open to life to this point.
Of course. I hope it won't end. I can tell you that. The curiosity is limitless.
Right. Yeah, it brings us to that space of limitless. I agree. That's so true, Cassandra. Beautiful. Thank you so much again for your presence. And let's see, before we say goodbye for today, again, where's the best place to find more information about what you do in the Night Studio Cafe?
So the best place to, no worries, the best place to find information about Night Cafe, anything that I'm doing with Night Cafe, I'd say just go straight to the site. I am always on our Discord too. So that's linked on the site as well. You can find me online almost any hour of the waking day. That's probably the best place to find me. And of course, all of our socials are at NightCafe Studio. So you'll be able to find us there.
Wonderful. I'll have the website link on your podcast profile as well. So
Great.
Thank you so much again, Cassandra, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Cassandra Hood and her work, please visit nightcafe.studio.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.